You know that long, simmering shadow war between Iran and Israel? What if it finally, actually, boiled over into a full-scale conflict? Well, that's what we're diving into in this explainer, a hypothetical but frighteningly plausible near-future war that has completely reshaped the Middle East and sent shockwaves across the entire globe. So picture this, it's April 2026. A massive, devastating war between two regional superpowers has just ground to a halt. A ceasefire is in place, but it's incredibly fragile. The core issues are nowhere near being solved, and pretty much the entire world is holding its breath, just watching and waiting. All right, so first things first, let's get a handle on the situation as it stands right now. With the fighting paused, the whole region is balanced on, you guessed it, a total knife's edge. Okay, so what we're looking at right now boils down to four really critical things. First, there's a very fragile truce brokered by Pakistan that's holding things together, for now. Second, and this is huge, Iran has blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, basically choking off a vital global oil artery. Third, Iran itself is in turmoil after its supreme leader, Khamenei, was assassinated. And finally, this conflict has already spilled over its borders in a big way, with Israel now deep into a ground offensive in Lebanon. And you really can't overstate the importance of this Strait of Hormuz situation. This isn't just some regional waterway. We're talking about a critical choke point for the world's oil supply. By shutting it down, Iran has triggered a massive global energy shock. And chances are, no matter where you live, you've already felt that pain right at the gas pump. So that's the what. Now for the big question. How in the world did we get here? To make sense of this mess, we've got to rewind the clock a bit and look at the chain of events that led to this point. You know, this didn't just happen overnight. The escalation really kicked off with that Hamas attack back in October 2023. From there, things just got more and more tense. By April 2024, all the old rules were out the window, and we saw the first ever direct strikes between Iran and Israel. That was a massive turning point. Then came the 12-day war in June 2025, which went straight for Iran's nuclear sites. Each step was like breaking a new taboo, leading us straight to the all-out war that finally exploded this February. And then came the big one. The operations that kicked this current war into high gear were a joint U.S.-Israeli effort called Roaring Lion and Epic Fury. And their stated goals, whoa, they were audacious. This wasn't just about taking out nuclear facilities anymore. No, this was an open, declared mission to achieve regime change. A huge, huge escalation. Okay, so we've talked about the politics, the military moves, but behind all that strategy is a devastating reality. Let's take a look at the real cost of this war, both in human lives and in utter economic ruin. The numbers are just stark. In the strikes just since February, we're talking about over 3,600 people killed inside Iran. And what's absolutely tragic is that sources tell us that more than 1,700 of them were civilians, just caught in the crossfire. And this tragedy isn't just contained to Iran. Not at all. It spilled over into Lebanon in the worst way, with over 2,200 people killed there, as the country is once again turned into a battlefield for a much larger war. And on top of that unimaginable human toll, you have economic destruction on a scale that's just hard to wrap your head around. Iran has taken a hit of over $145 billion in direct damage to its economy and its infrastructure. And a number like $145 billion, what does that actually mean for people on the ground? Well, it means this. 2 million people in Iran have lost their jobs. Just like that. It's created a massive crisis inside the country itself. So all of this destruction, it really makes you ask, how did the two sides stack up against each other militarily? I mean, understanding the balance of power when this all kicked off is pretty crucial to understanding how it's all played out. When you look at the two militaries, it's really a classic tale of quantity versus quality. On one hand, you have Iran, which came into this with just massive conventional numbers. On the other hand, you have Israel, whose big advantage is its incredible technological superiority. And you can see that contrast so clearly right here. I mean, look at the sheer numbers. Iran has way more tanks, way more rocket launchers. But that's where the story gets interesting. Iran's navy has been almost completely wiped out, something like 90% of it destroyed. And here's the critical part. While Iran's air defenses have been seriously damaged, Israel's super advanced, multi-layered system, they call it the Onion system, is still incredibly effective.
So that brings us right back to where we started. Today, the fighting has stopped, for now. But the problems that lit this fire in the first place, they haven't gone anywhere. Which brings us to the most important question of all. What happens next?
You've got these two massive, unresolved problems just looming over everything. Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is still holding the world economy hostage. And at the exact same time, the fundamental question about Iran's nuclear program, the very thing that kicked off the first strikes, is still totally up in the air.
And that's really the question we're all left with, isn't it? With the primary reasons for the war still on the table, with global trade thrown into chaos, and with regional tensions higher than ever, you just have to ask, how long can a peace this fragile possibly last?